nails, if you want to stick to your reusable makeup wipes and your refillable deodorant, like that's really cool with us. We need empathy. We need a mindset of kindness and looking after the planet rather than exploiting it and dominating it. I'm Shara, I'm a philosophy grad and I work in sustainable fashion, and today we're going to be talking about the question of, is the sustainability movement being led by women? Quick disclaimer before we get into it, there are a lot more nuances to this discussion that I'm able to include in just one video on YouTube. Like most things related to sustainability or feminism, nothing's ever black and white, and there's infinite layers of complexity. If you can offer some of those nuances or you have any kind of constructive debate to add to the things that I'm going to be talking about, do leave them in the comments below. That's what they're there for, and I will see you there. So let's dive in with a question that is, I mean, pretty central to this, which is, what is the sustainability movement made up of? One of the big divides in discussions about sustainability is the distinction between individual action and responsibility that drives sustainability sort of from the bottom, and then institutional action that changes things from the top down. Governments, big fossil fuel companies, basically the entities that are responsible for the most pollution, would have you believe that it's all down to individual actions, and hey, when there's a demand from individuals and from communities for certain types of products or certain types of change, then we'll supply it. But you know, supply and demand, if the people don't want sustainability, it's just not a good business to give it to them, I guess. There's this idea that we can consume our way out of the climate crisis, which again stresses this role of what you individually buy, how much you recycle, whether you use a reusable straw, all of these kind of mini things that often we talk about when we talk about sustainable living, and tips for how to make your individual life more sustainable rather than focusing on the systemic or the institutional issues that drive the things behind climate change in the first place. 70 to 80% of consumer purchasing is driven by women. Sustainability, if it's being marketed as kindness to the planet, being nurturing to the planet, looking after the people and the things in it, lines up really well with societal expectations of what women should be like. So women are expected to be nurturing, to look after the home, to look after their families, and now also the planet. I'm not saying that there aren't sustainable brands that are marketing towards men, there are. The messaging is usually slightly different. So if it's marketing towards men, we're talking like outdoorsy camping dad with his reusable flask and his, you know, organic canvas waterproof jacket, versus the pretty woman who's trying to perfect her ethical skincare routine. When trying to sell these sustainable products, it makes sense that marketers will be appealing to women as being the biggest consumer group. And how do we reach women? Well, it's by appealing to these traditionally feminine values and linking those to sustainability. What does that mean for men? Well, if sustainability equals feminine, why would men want to be associated with that? Nah, we'll leave sustainability to the ladies. We're not about that. Let's go eat some steak, lads. I don't really know how guys talk. This is called the eco-gender gap. A 2016 paper in the Journal of Consumer Research actually found that men are in fact motivated to avoid green behaviours to protect their perceived gender identity. When I was looking for examples of this online, I came across one of the brands that I love called Small, and they focus on like laundry and household, and it's all zero waste. But when you actually look at their marketing, even though it's about kind of laundry and like taking care of the household, which men benefit from equally as women, right? Like men have clothes that need to be washed, but all of the marketing that they put out is focused on women. It features women. It kind of appeals to women, and I wouldn't be surprised to find out that their main customer base is women, because still traditionally women, you know, do those household tasks, and it also aligns with this idea that women are the ones that care about sustainability and looking after the planet. Another clear example of this is found in vegan diets. So there are a lot more women than there are men who follow vegan diets. Why? Well, because meat is manly. Not eating meat is feminine. Veganism is adopted by way more women than it is men, and there's a whole other video that I could do on this, so if you're interested in that, do leave it below in the comments. But basically, there's a lot more women who are vegan than there are men, and a lot of it comes down to this idea of meat being manly and protein and gym bros. Brief interlude to say that if you are finding these topics really interesting, don't forget to hit that like and that subscribe button to let me know, and so that it can spread to even more people and open up even more conversations. So culturally, in terms of marketing, societally, women are sort of leading the sustainability movement, and it makes sense when we think about the societal expectations that we put on women to be nurturing, to look after things such as the planet. But what is interesting is that in other areas, women are really not doing a lot of good for sustainability. So in the fast fashion industry, which is largely targeted towards women, again, we have players like Exhibit A, Shein. Shein produces thousands of new items that are put up on its website every day, and just from one little scroll through their social media, you can tell that this is a brand targeted towards women, even though they do also sell menswear. Now this opens up a whole new can of worms about social media, about influencers, and the world of try-on hauls. A quick YouTube or TikTok search shows us that the world of try-on hauls is dominated by women doing hauls of their fast fashion purchases. And why is that? Well, fast fashion is affordable, which basically just means that the workers get paid nothing and the environment is the one that has to actually absorb that cost. On the whole, there are more women in the influencer space than there are men. But if they're just influencing young girls to buy into the take, make, waste linear economy of fast fashion, that doesn't line up too well with the idea that women are driving us towards a more sustainable future. There are, of course, loads of sustainable fashion influencers and sustainability influencers in general who are female, who I love. We could say that while women are taught to be empathetic and nurturing, they are also taught to be pretty, and it's taught to us that it's acceptable and expected of us to be more interested in the frivolous things like shopping and clothes and makeup. So for these influencers, they are still conforming to society's expectations of what women are and what they care about. And that kind of means it's cool for them to never ever talk about sustainability or about ethics or where the products that they're promoting actually come from. This is strengthened by the idea that social media perpetuates, which is that if we have all these latest things, if we buy what these influencers and these celebrities are wearing, then we are pretty, we are cool, we're trendy, and we're, you know, worthy of love. And what is the easiest and cheapest way to achieve all of these pressures from social media? Well, it's to shop with fast fashion. And if someone is following these influencers and then they discover, whoops, I don't think I can actually justify this kind of living and this consumption anymore, then she's kind of in a pickle because she has to go against all of these expectations of her. And she can't really, well, she can ignore it, and a lot of this comes down to just willful ignorance, but there is a choice to be made. And especially for influencers, I also appreciate the fact that once they come out as sustainable influencers, and once they start talking about sustainability, they are held to completely different standards, and they are then expected to be perfect in terms of sustainability. If they never talk about it, then, you know, no one can claim that they ever claim to be sustainable, and so it's fine. So yeah, in a way, female influencers could be doing a bit more to be encouraging sustainable consumption, if that's what we want to focus on. It also doesn't make much sense to say that the garment workers, who are predominantly women, making our products are the ones driving the sustainability movement. And I'm not blaming them for not being sustainability warriors. And that ties into my final point pretty nicely. If we recognise that individual actions and individual consumption in particular is not going to get us that far towards actually fixing the climate crisis, and we want to focus on systemic and cultural and institutional change, then women have to have a seat at that table. Women need to be in leadership, activism, business, and those political roles that are actually going to drive the change that we need. So if we just talk about business, many of the minds behind sustainable fashion are women. So we're talking like Stella McCartney in the luxury space, but also people like Grace Beverley who are driving the ethical and sustainable and affordable activewear space. But are these women the exceptions that actually prove the rule? Grace has talked at length about the fact that it's 2.3% of actual venture capital funding that goes to women-led startups. She is the exception that proves the rule. How can we let women disrupt industries and move things towards a more sustainable future if this is the pitiful amount of support that we're giving them? So what society kind of seems to be saying is, hey girls, if you want to stick to your reusable makeup wipes and your refillable deodorant, like that's really cool with us if you want to look after the home in a sustainable way. But I mean, you can't come into all these spaces where like the real actual change is gonna happen. Like, we all know women are not suited to be leaders anyway, right? Like, they're way too emotional, they're way too irrational, you know, they're governed by their vaginas and their babies. Like, when it comes to activism, there are studies that show that women have a harder time being perceived as ideal activists. I mean, this is not even to mention how much sexism and misogyny is directed at women in the spotlight, which makes it way harder to actually get stuff done. We need these feminine values in business, in politics, in activism. But for that to happen, we need these traits to be recognised by men and by society at large as actually valuable. Women who embody some of these feminine traits should not have to change their personalities to be more masculine to actually be taken seriously in these spaces. And the same goes for men who have traits that are considered more traditionally feminine. We need empathy. We need a mindset of kindness and looking after the planet rather than exploiting it and dominating it and having power over it and extracting whatever we can. If we're talking about consumption and marketing and which gender sustainable attributes most naturally line up with, then yeah, kinda. And where women actually get to exercise these values of empathy and looking after people and kindness within the systems that need to change, they excel because we need these values. But is our potential being limited by society's expectations of what we should be and how we should behave and the values that we bring to these discussions? Yeah. We can't be equal contributors to solving the climate crisis without a move away from the attitudes that keep industries like fast fashion alive, or the barriers that keep women from doing the real work that needs to be done. And that's where I'm going to leave that debate in this video. If there's anything that stood out to you that you want to comment on or chat more about, do post it in the comments below. And if there's anything that I've talked about that you'd like a deeper dive into, then let me know that as well, because I'd love to make more videos diving into some of the things that we talked about in this video a little bit more. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like and that subscribe button to let me know that you enjoy this type of content, and share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with people to start these conversations so that we can actually move towards the type of change that is going to create a more equitable and kinder future for all of us. Thanks for watching, stay kind, and I'll see you next time.